This show is sponsored by PowerfulWomenUSA.com, a place to be inspired by other women. Hey everybody, I'm Jill Conway, and this is Secrets of Powerful Women, a show dedicated to celebrating and supporting strong and successful women and sharing their stories. I'm hoping that you will be inspired to pursue your own dreams, reclaim your voice, and discover your strengths. So my guest today, and you can see her there, is Shelley Hancock, a 38-year beauty industry veteran and esthetician. She is also an author of multiple books, including How to Become a Skincare Expert. And she built and ran her own skincare center in Northern California for many, many years. So Shelley, thank you for being here and welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Oh, well, you're very welcome. I mean, I think your story is so interesting. And so let's start off the bat there. How did you get involved in the beauty industry? Was that something you always wanted to do, or what happened?
No, it was really a roundabout way. In fact, I don't know why this just popped in my mind right now. I went to beauty school for hairdressing when I was 19, and I was a beauty school dropout. I didn't make it through. I didn't like it at all. And then I floundered all through my 20s, from job to job to job. And literally, I got a job doing computer work at a dermatology office. And about the third day into the job, he taps me on the shoulder and says, "Shelley, what I really need is a back office assistant. Can I train you for that?" Like, don't people go to school for that? Right?
Right.
I was being handed an opportunity. So it only took me a split second to say yes. And that's actually the moment my whole career started.
Wow. Well, first of all, I'm always about the beautiful acts of the universe and how things present themselves, right? So then from that point, when did you were working still in a dermatology office for how long?
Oh, I was only there maybe 3 to 4 months.
Oh.
This was back in 87. And he had an esthetician, which was unknown. People didn't even know that word back then. And I watched her come out of her treatment room, and people would hug her and say, "Thank you so much. I'll see you again." And I'm like, who's she? And how do I get her job?
Yeah.
And literally I quit and I went to aesthetic school.
Wow.
That was like, there was a draw to that. In fact, it's funny, the other day I found my referral letter from that dermatologist. So when I came out of school, I would have something to give to, on my resume. And it was so funny to see that from so many years back.
Wow. Now, did you find at that point it was the right fit? Like as soon as you went to school, you were like, okay, this is it.
I did. I just felt it. I didn't know what I was going to do with it, where I was going to take it, but I knew there was something there that I wanted to do. Definitely.
Yeah. I feel like that's how I'm operating with this podcast. Like, I love it. I was in TV news for 20 years, but I'm like, I love it. I'm just going to see wherever this goes. Right. You don't need sometimes to over plan. So,
I think there's a lot of people that do too much over planning and then don't get anywhere.
Right. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So you built, as I said in the introduction, you built a skincare business and you still have one. And now you teach and you mentor women and estheticians. So you were working in the business, and then how did it morph?
Well, when I came out of aesthetic school, I went right back to work in a medical office because that's what I knew.
Right.
And I don't know, it's only about 18 months later, a woman that I knew that owned a small skincare center called me one evening and she said, "Shelley, I just got the opportunity to go to, I think it was New Mexico, a huge resort they're just opening, and they have a spa there and they want me to manage that spa. And I would like you to run my spa." She wanted me to come in and run her spa.
Wow.
And it was really interesting because I'd only been an esthetician 18 months. I'd only worked in the medical field, and I'd never been to college. Didn't have any business background.
I love it.
But again, here was another moment. I was being handed an opportunity. And I literally, she said, "Oh, and I need to know by tomorrow morning because I need to leave tomorrow." Okay,
no pressure.
Yeah.
Right.
So I stayed up all night. What do? I had created a great job at a medical office that, I could have stayed there probably forever, very secure, or the opportunity to do something new, to jump out and be the manager of a spa. And of course I said yes.
Yeah.
And I met with her the next morning for about 3 hours where she showed me where everything was, and she left. And I literally never saw her again.
I love the story because first of all, it doesn't, do you hear the doubts though? Do the doubts come to you? I'm like, who do I think I am? Like, what am I doing? I'm not qualified for this. Or no,
No, and
love it.
I
I
don't
love
know
it.
why. I think back at it now at this age.
Yeah.
I think back at it
Yeah.
and go, why wasn't I scared? Was it
Yeah.
youth? Was it naivety? Was it just an excitement about doing something and being successful? I don't know, but I just kept leaping every time this came throughout my whole 38-year career, and I just kept leaping every time.
Oh, wow. So, I love that because I mean, that's kind of, I feel like that's how you kind of know you're on the right path when things present themselves and things keep getting better and you're like have the pinch me moments, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So, all right. So you started managing her spa or her skincare center. And then how did you, I mean, cause you built a big one yourself. So,
Well, I took that skincare center and built it really big. I think it was only 3 months into it. I called her. I said, "Hey, do you think you're going to come back?" And she goes, "No." And I said, "I want to buy your business from you then."
wow.
So then that's when I purchased it, and I grew it for the next 15 years to a very successful practice. I was very proud of what I did. Worked hard,
Yeah.
but very proud of what I did.
Yeah. I mean, obviously, this was in what area? This was in California at the time,
Northern California, yeah.
in Northern California. So, but now did you grow it to be, and now you help people build your franchise.
Yeah.
So talk about that.
Yeah. So I think it was 2005. One morning I was just sitting having a cup of coffee with my two King Charles Cavaliers next to me. And
I have one. I have one too.
I love
Yeah.
those dogs. They're so fabulous. And I was just like, no, I feel like I'm getting tired. I'm losing a bit of my passion, and I don't want to lose that passion, but it just had to do with everything with running a business and employees and all the things that go along with it. And I thought, I think it's time to sell the business because I, do it while it's on the upside, right?
Yeah.
And then, but I had no idea what I was going to do next, where I was going to go from there. But I sold the business literally in one day.
My gosh.
Kid you not.
Wow. All right. So you sold the business, you're home with the King Charles Cavaliers, and then
it was like, I don't know what to, I did flounder. I will admit, I floundered for about 3 years. I didn't know where. I tried multi-level marketing. That wasn't for me. Tried many things. But that was in the years when aesthetic equipment started to become really popular. And I just was really drawn to it. So I kept buying up aesthetic equipment. And then I would talk to other estheticians about it. And then they would go buy it from the company. And that was cool. But then I thought, wait a minute, I'm kind of a salesperson for these companies, right? So I started calling the companies and saying, hey, here's what's happening. This person and this person have purchased from you because I'm talking about your equipment. Is there any way I can work with you on this? And they didn't know what to do with me because I wasn't asking for a job.
Right.
I was just saying, I'd throw a little something my way. And one by one, it just started to grow. And all these businesses started to kind of pay me for talking about their pieces of equipment. And before I knew it, it got so big that I opened a training center.
Wow. So you were like an influencer back then without even knowing that word, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I didn't really have the internet to do that with. I was just doing it in person. And then once the training center was up, many other companies from the industry would come and rent it to give out their classes. I had people fly in from out of the United States to come and go to the classes there and whatnot. And it was just fun and wonderful.
Wow. What are some of you mentioned the equipment, like what, for example?
Well, so people always laugh at me because I always go back in the 90s because that's when I started, Really all we had back then was microdermabrasion. Yeah. That was the big thing. And every client got a microdermabrasion treatment, whether they really needed it or not, because everybody, thought they wanted it and kind of thing. Yeah. But in the early 2000s, we started to get LED, oxygen infusion, microcurrent became more popular. Just more and more modalities became popular. And like I said, I was really drawn to them. So people in the industry that have been following me call me the machine queen or the gadget gal.
Oh, I love it. Well, it's because someone's got to teach somebody. I mean, they have to learn somehow, right? And
Yeah, and somebody's got to test it all out to see if it's just what they used to call
mm,
snake oil, or is it, really for real?
yeah,
And there is so much out there, especially now, that
yeah.
is just not worth it. In fact, I always say I have a graveyard of, and this is true, I have a graveyard of equipment in my garage of
Mm,
things that didn't make the cut. I
mm.
buy things up all the time and test them. And it's like now it's been so long, I almost know right away. Almost the minute I touch the piece of equipment, I know whether it's going to be good or not.
Well, tell us some of the things that you think at this point, because I mean, gosh, no one had YouTube back then either. Like I laugh and tell my kids, we didn't really have emails. Like we couldn't Google anything. You had to go to the library and pull an encyclopedia that was already 30 years old, right?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so when you talk, I mean, there's so much like you said, and now there's radio frequency devices at home and
Oh,
in the office and all these devices. So how does anyone make sense of it all? I mean, what should women do?
yeah. It, I think it's very scary because the public can get their hands on anything now.
Yeah.
At least back in the day, they really couldn't, and it was in the hands of the professionals. But
Mm-hmm.
now they can buy it online anywhere. And most of it doesn't come with really good instructions. And a lot of people don't know what's really proper for their skin or not.
Yeah.
And so, how many people are actually harming their skin with
Mm-hmm.
pieces of equipment out there? So, I encourage women and men out there to find an esthetician that you really trust. I don't think there's anything wrong at all with having home use equipment. Not at all. Go and get your professional facial and then keep up those results in the middle. But just buying something off the internet because somebody on Instagram told you how wonderful it was is a bit scary.
Yeah, it is for sure. So, uh, what did you want to do when you were a kid? I mean, I know you said maybe hairdressing, or you just kind of, like what was like when you were little? What did you want to do?
I was actually a professional dancer when I was very young.
Oh,
I worked on princess cruises. I traveled with a circus. Yeah, like
wow.
very young. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
But here's the interesting thing. That's what I thought I wanted to do because
Mm,
in my little town in California, I was
yeah.
something special, right? Because I was doing all that stuff. Well, at 18 years old, I moved down to Hollywood to become, a professional dancer and get
Hmm.
into acting and all that. And I got down there and I'm like, oh my word. I was a little teeny fish in this big, huge ocean of
Right.
beautiful, talented women.
Yeah.
And as much as I loved to dance and all that, I didn't have it. I wasn't passionate enough about it to put
Mm,
myself through what
yeah.
I needed to do.
Yeah. All right. So let me ask you, how would you describe passion then for someone who doesn't,
Mm,
for someone who's searching for it in their own life?
yeah. Something that you get up every morning and you're excited to go do. I mean, 38 years, I still get up every morning and go, okay, what am I going to do today? And what's going to
Yeah.
happen today? And who am I going to talk to today? It just comes naturally. I'm not trying to do that. And that's how do you keep that up for 38 years if it's not real?
Right. Right. Well, that's true. That's true. I have to ask you, I mean, your skin is gorgeous from what I can see. I mean, what do you do? What products do you use?
And I'm 65.
Fantastic.
Um, uh, Throughout the years, I've tried everything that's come into the
Sure.
professional aesthetic world, of
Right.
course. And I think it's just about consistency, starting at a younger age and consistency with your skincare on a regular basis. And I've worked with so many women over the years that they find it hard to do that.
Mm, yeah.
And I heard a thing years ago, and I do not know whether this is true or not, but every time you don't wash your face at night, your skin ages 7 days faster. Now,
Oh.
seriously, I really
Oh.
don't know if it's true or not, but it was
Yeah.
enough to go, I'm washing my face every night, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
And I tell my
I
clients that.
never go to bed. I never go to bed without washing my face
Yeah,
ever. Like
yeah.
it kind of grosses me out. That's like I brush my teeth too and a floss. I do all that stuff because I don't know, I can't wrap my head around it. Um, so at this point, um, I know, like we talked about, like what drew you to skincare and stuff, and you say like you've maintained your passion for it for 38 years, which I think is hard to do.
Mhm.
I don't, I mean, so you have to enjoy it, like anything. You have to love it to
Yeah,
stay in it like that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's also for me, there's enough to do in this industry, different avenues to take,
Mm-hmm.
that you shouldn't get bored because there's so many different things you can do. You can change up. And I've done that, not a lot, but I haven't been in a treatment room for 38 years. Now,
Right,
if I had just done that, I might have a different story to tell you, right
right,
now.
right.
But I've tried different things. I had my own radio show for a while, and
Yeah.
that was hilarious how I came about that. That wasn't anything that ever entered my mind at all. At all.
And what happened?
So,
Tell us about it. What was
okay.
the,
Okay.
yeah.
So I opened another training center down in Capistrano Beach in Southern California. And one morning I went in, and that was back when we had answering machines, right,
Yeah.
on our phones. And I hit the answering machine. I heard this voice. Hi, Shelley. This is Winston from Voice America. I want to talk to you about being a radio show host. And
Huh?
I literally just started laughing. Down in Los Angeles, they have that TV show Punked, right?
Yeah,
And I could
right,
swear I had just been punked. Like, who's calling me about a radio show? So I
right.
deleted the message. And the next week, I happened to pick up the phone one day and I heard that same voice. Hi, Shelley. This is Winston from Voice America. I'd like to talk to you about being a radio show host.
Wow.
And I was like, Winston, why, come on, why are you calling me? And he just said, they have a crew of people that comb YouTube looking for people that have a message that they're passionate about. And they saw my videos and they called me. And by the end of the conversation, Shelley's Show and Tell radio show was born.
Wow.
That was nothing that entered my mind
Yeah, yeah.
at all.
So what did you talk about?
All things skincare. I had guests on skincare. A lot of also law of attraction, positivity type of things too, because I feel like I've always been positive in my career. I'd never let fear hold me back. And I don't think I'd be where I am today had I done that, had I let fear stop me.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, no, that's funny because I love that you're speaking my language with that because I would have to say years ago, I never thought that was a real thing, law of attraction. I just thought it was because people would say things like, "Oh, you're positive," as a negative thing, right?
Yeah.
But I feel like it's just it works.
Well, and I've had people say over the years, I've talked to them and about this, and they go, "Oh yeah, I tried that for a week and it doesn't work."
Yeah, right. And then they're gonna go complain for a while, and then you're like, "Well, I mean, you're attracting something, but it's not the good stuff, right?" Just so funny, so funny. So you had the radio show for how long? You said
18 months. It was a live 1-hour radio show every Monday.
That's hard. That's hard. I've had that too. That's
Isn't it? Yeah. I mean, it's wonderful, but I was still running a business as well. And just after a while, I was like, okay, I think I have to stop.
Right, now I'm bored. Right, like now it's like we've talked about enough. Right. So all right, and then so how many how many people do you think that you've mentored or instructed over the course of decades?
It's hard to tell, whether it's a one-on-one or it's in classes that I've done around the United States or listening to my radio show or reading one of my books, and it still brings me great joy when I get an email or a phone call that says, thank you, Shelley. I took your advice and it worked in my business. And I just love doing that.
Right. So you help people grow their businesses too? Is that it? Like if they're an esthetician, they say, I have a dream to open my own a bit. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Because I've been there, done that. Right. Although things are a lot different nowadays as far as marketing and all of that goes than it was back then. But I feel like in this industry, it's such a personal business, such a one-on-one personal that I think we might need to get back a little bit to the old way of just really connecting with that client in front of us, and not so much the stuff on Instagram and all this kind of stuff.
I agree with you. Yeah. I think, it's funny because I feel like we've gotten lost in this online world. And even though we're doing this online looking at each other, but there are, benefits to it and there are disadvantages to it. And I think I think with the onset of AI and when you don't know what to believe on the computer, what's real, what's not, I think, yeah, in person and that relationship is going to be stronger than ever. I think it's the most important thing moving forward. Yeah.
And that's all we had back then.
Yeah.
Right? Because we didn't have anything else. So you had to really be present and grounded with that client in front of you so that they would go out and talk about you. That was your best advertisement.
Right. Right. So, okay. So I think we're going to take a quick break now. We'll be back with Shelley Hancock after the commercial break. You're listening to Secrets of Powerful Women. Help me get the word out. Share this with a friend right now because this is so good. We'll be back. Hi, everybody. I'm Jill Conway. If you love what you're listening to, please like and subscribe to my channel on whatever podcast platform you listen to and on YouTube so I can keep bringing you these amazing women and sharing their stories. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you love it as much as I do. All right, welcome back. You're listening to Secrets of Powerful Women. Shelley Hancock is with me. Shelley, we were talking about, people building businesses and things like that. And certainly, as we've mentioned, you've built your own incredible business over the course of several decades. So you recently wrote a book, and let's talk about that. Your latest book, and that's kind of talking about your journey.
Called Aesthetic Success. And I started it because I've always liked to go speak at schools. Throughout the years, I've done it, quite often. But I was just ready to pivot again in my career. And I thought, I just have such another passion for helping people that are getting started in the industry. So I wrote the book with my whole journey in it. The first part I call my leaps. And then the second part of the book are my lessons. Just different lessons that I've learned along the way in building my business and running the business. And I'm now going out to schools around the United States and talking to the students and telling them my stories and letting them ask me questions. And it's just so much fun. And to just watch their faces have little aha moments like, oh, she can do that. I think I can do it too, kind of thing.
Right. I think that's the best part. When you see somebody who's done it and you can say, okay, you know what? If she can do it, I can do it. Why not? Right. Yeah. As you said, because it is a big part of it is mindset, because if you talk yourself out of anything, it's the worst.
Yeah.
It's just, yeah. So let's talk about some of your lessons. So what would you say the biggest lesson you learned is, good and bad?
One I learned right off the bat when I bought that first skincare center, and I talked to estheticians about this, and I call it not getting caught up. So the story is I was in my little spa and a gentleman in a suit and tie walked in one day and he started to tell me about this advertising that every other business in town is doing. And his demeanor he started talking faster and faster. And he had this whole cadence he was doing and about, and if I didn't do this, then I'd never be good in business and my business would fail. And I could feel myself, my body actually getting caught up, in his energy.
Yeah.
And before I knew it, I signed on the dotted line for a $950 advertising when I had just bought the business, right? I never said to him, oh, may I know some of these other businesses so I can check in and see how they're doing? I never said, I'm just like, okay. And I just signed on the dotted line. The advertisement was, when you go to the grocery store or the pharmacy and you check out and they hand you your receipt. Mm-hmm. Have you ever turned that receipt over and saw the advertisement on the back of that receipt?
Yeah.
I had never seen that. I'd never looked at that before.
Yeah.
So what made me think that every other business in town was doing this and they were being successful with it? I wasn't thinking. I got caught up in his hype and his energy. So I talked to estheticians about that. When they go to trade shows, you go inside that booth. And they're going to be at you about how great their widget is. And, if you walk out of here, you're not going to get the discount. And, you're going to get caught up and you're going to buy things that you never really meant to buy. So ground yourself.
Oh, that's good advice. They still sell that. I'm in real estate for over 12 years. And I still get calls about people. And I was like, no, everyone throws out the receipts. Like what? Yeah, it's crazy because they try very well sometimes to convince you like this is it. This is gonna,
So I did not get one single phone call from that $950. So that was a hard lesson to learn when I just started in business.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So did you have clients right away? Did you I mean, how was that? Because I know sometimes when you start a business, it's very hard to get people in the door.
Yeah. So I bought this woman's business, right?
Yeah.
Or
Okay.
like I came in and so, but it was very interesting. Within the first week I was there, and I really had a moment to sit down and look at everything myself without having her there. I was like, oh, now I understand why she wanted to go to New Mexico, because this is a dying business.
Oh, wow.
There were hardly any clients on the books at all.
Oh my God.
So there I sat. I've got a great little suite in the medical building with 4 treatment rooms. And, I just was like, okay, I don't have any business background. What do I do? And the first thing I did was I decided I was going to show up every morning at 9 o'clock, whether I had a client or not. It was my way of showing the universe, hey, I'm here. I'm open for business. I'm ready for you. And then each client that did come in, this is a law of attraction thing. When they all knew I was new there and taking it over, and they'd say, oh, how's it going? How's everything going? I'd be like, oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe how wonderful this is. I'm so excited. I'm so busy. And it was Thursday, and they were my first client that week, right? But I would never say, oh, no, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. No, I always talk to them like I wanted it to be. Say it like you want it to be.
Oh, oh my gosh. So it's so funny because, I listen to Esther and Abraham Hicks a lot, and oh, you do too?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Been on the cruise.
Right. Oh my gosh. Oh, well, we'll talk about, oh my gosh. Wow. I would love to go on a cruise. Wow. But she's always, they're always saying like, we're all obsessed with like telling it like it is, but that's not going to get you anywhere if you harp on how it is, right?
Only tell it like it is if you like it like it is.
Yeah.
That's what she says.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So if people, you've heard me mention them before, but it's Abraham, Esther, and Jerry Hicks. But it is Google is all I'm going to say. Google and hit YouTube and just press play and start listening, because you will be inspired. You will be, you'll listen to all about the laws of the universe, and it's wild, and you might doubt it. You might think this is seems kind of woo-woo crazy, but when you start to put it in practice, wow, your life changes.
It's simple. What you talk about comes about.
Yeah.
And have you ever woken up in the morning and you just kind of were in a bad mood? You hit your toe when you got out of bed or something, and then you got that and then everything starts to go wrong unless you get yourself out of that energy. So it's like, it's very true.
Yeah. I learned from them, and I say it every day. I say it all day long. Everything works out for me. Everything just works out for me. And now I have my kids saying it, and then I'm like, everything does work out for you. I mean, and she's like, oh, it's so true.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
So tell us about your cruise quick, as we'll jump off topic for a second. So
there was like 900 of us on this group on this cruise, and we would have 4 hours a day of listening to her. And it was the thing I remember the most, because this was back in 2015. This was quite some time ago. The thing I remember the most is the feeling, the energy in this room of 900 people that all had that same thought process about being positive. Like you could almost feel, and this is people from all over the world,
right,
not speaking the same language, but you could feel the energy and you could just see it in their faces, just the kindness and the smiles and all that. That's what hit me the most.
I just had a podcast on, and a woman named Loa, and she's from Arizona, I want to say, and she's has a book. She wrote a book, Master Your Chakras. But it's so interesting, because I started by saying, some people think this is woo-woo. And I get it, because I was there at one point, right? Until you deep dive into it and you realize that it's physics, and it's these incredible laws where you're like, you know what? This kind of makes sense, and I'm going to test it. And then you start testing it, and you're like, well, that's true, because if I have negative thoughts, here comes the next negative thought, right? Like it's a very interesting, I mean, I love it. I listen to it every day, but it's so great that you do too.
I got to tell you this story. We were going to, this was not the cruise. This is another time that we were going to one of their conferences and
Wow.
whatnot. And I said to my late husband, I said, I want to be in the front row. I
Oh
want
my
to be
gosh.
right up there in the front row.
Yeah.
And so we're going to get there early. So we got there like an hour early. Well, that wasn't early enough
Right.
because there was a line all the way around the building already. So
Yeah.
I pouted for a couple of minutes and then I'm like, no, it's going to be good. It's going to be all
Yeah.
right. Right. So we
Yeah.
get in there. There's no seats in the front row. So
Yeah.
we're way back to the right-hand side. And I was a little sad, but I'm like, but I'm here. I'm here. Look at all these people, right? A few minutes later, a man came up and he said, would you two like to be in the front row?
Oh my gosh.
Did you not? I
I
almost started crying. I couldn't believe it.
wow.
They had a certain seats they wanted to fill with, I don't know, certain people or something. And they saw us and they put us up in that very front row.
Oh my God. I have to just, and we'll get back to your conversation about the beauty industry, but I just one more. Did you get called for a question? Did you
No, I
ask a
wanted
question?
to really
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so, I love that. Okay. All right. So back to business. This is like a phone call. We're like, okay, and this and that. So we talked about that. Now I want to talk about some of the things, some of the trendy things that are going on now in skincare in the beauty industry. And one of those things is red light therapy. We see it everywhere. We see everyone with the masks on their face. It's like, what is going on and does it work?
Yeah. Good question. So my first experience with LED was in 2002, long time ago. And sorry, I always teach by telling stories because I have
love
so
it.
many stories from
Yeah,
years.
go
Okay.
ahead.
I'm just going to take my lip gloss here. But my husband and I went to a trade show and I said, just in and out in a few minutes, hun, because I just have a few things to get. And he's like, okay, 30 minutes max. Stopped to go to the restroom. I came out first. So I started going down the road because it's shiny toys right everywhere. And I started going
Yeah.
down the aisle, and I thought, oh, better stop because I'm going to lose him. We didn't have a cell phones at the time. And I stopped in front of this booth where this lady was sitting on a chair, and the lady that was in the booth had something that kind of looked like this and was holding up against her eye, and it looked like a flashlight. And I thought, that's really weird. Why is she holding a flashlight up next to this lady's eye? I've never seen anything like that before because this LED was brand new back then.
Yeah.
So I was listening to her and I was hearing light emitting diodes, stimulating collagen and elastin. Oh, wow, that's kind of interesting. And I went in a little bit further because I really wanted to hear this because it was really interesting. And before you knew it, I was sitting on the chair with the flashlight next to my eye. And I opened my eyes and my husband's standing there. He said just 30 minutes, let's go, right?
Yeah.
We're walking around getting my supplies and he kept looking at me really weird. And I go, what? Why are you looking at me weird? He goes, your eye. What did they do to you? Go back and make them do the other eye. I hadn't looked at myself before I left. I was like, oh, well, maybe there is something to this flashlight thing, right?
Wow.
So we went back and talked to them, and I ended up leaving with a $5,500 LED machine that was 2 handheld units that you sit there for 3 minutes in each place. But that's where it started way back then. And I started using it on my clients right away and started seeing some incredible results on it.
Wow. Of what? Of skin tightening or
tightening,
what?
pigmentation, texture, just acne, everything. It was amazing. Yeah. So I right away began to include it in my facials. It wasn't an add-on. I didn't charge people extra for it. It was just included in my facial because I felt like it was that beneficial.
Right. Right. Wow.
And I've been doing that ever since. Now, knowing what I know all these years later about LED, because then a couple of years later, I'm like, I am not holding these 2 handhelds on people's faces any longer. This is boring me to death. I bought my first panel on sale for $10,000 at a trade show. On sale. Discount. Yeah.
Right. On sale. Right.
And I now know that it was probably pretty useless. You were talking about the masks, all the LED masks that are out there right now. Yeah. A lot of them have very few LEDs in them. And the LEDs are spaced so far apart that it's almost like in the morning you decide to take your sunscreen in a Q-tip and just dot your face like this for protection. That's kind of what you're getting with that LED out there, is just dots of LED. Those LEDs need to be closer and you need more of them for the power to really get results.
Oh, okay.
We've
Wow.
tested some of the LEDs out there. I work very closely with the company Lumara Systems.
Mhm.
I actually got him interested in LED about 11 years ago, 12 years ago. Um, we tested a few of the ones out there, that they can get on Amazon and this and that. And to get any kind of decent results, there was one in particular would have to lay under it for 10 hours.
Well, who is, I mean, crazy.
Come on.
Who has that
So
time?
you're wasting your time and your money with a lot of them out there.
Yeah.
So again, it's like everybody's just like all the advertisement that's out there and it sounds so fabulous and you're going and you're spending your money
Mhm.
and you're not getting your money's worth or your time's worth
Mm.
with that.
Well, what is like let's talk about skincare for a second. What is, as you age, as women age, what is the most important skincare a woman can use? Is it SPF, as we've heard for so many years, or what is it? I mean,
Yeah, I actually personally think SPF from a very young age is our very first thing. Um, back when I was a kid, you sat up by the swimming pool with baby oil on, right? And trying to get a tan, right?
with
And
the
that's
tin
when all
foil,
your
with the
yes,
tin foil
that
thing.
thing,
I did that too. Yeah.
and that is when the sun damage really happens,
Mm.
is back then. And then a lot of that doesn't come out until you get in your 40s. And then you go, oh my gosh, what did I do? And then it's hard to reverse all of that. So if I had children, I would be telling them to start wearing their sunscreen at a very early age. And then
Yeah.
it's really going to have to do with skin type and skin issues and that kind of thing. What's the most important? But, I this isn't skincare, but I really feel like water and sleep are extremely important.
And no one talks about that.
It's just
Yeah.
slapping more stuff on, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, have
I
you
mean,
ever
now.
noticed like when
Yeah.
you don't get enough sleep
Yeah.
or not
Look.
enough water or you eat poorly, like your skin just looks a bit different
Yeah.
than it normally does?
That's true. Yeah. What about I'm just gonna throw all these things out at you and see what, I don't know if you want to talk about it or not, but like hyaluronic acid, and now we hear glutathione for the face and all these other products. I mean, can you truly, using these products, like turn back the hands of time?
I think you can somewhat, but then you can also slow down the hands
Mm.
of time, right? That if you weren't using these things, that if you could see what you would look like without them, you would be aged more.
Right.
So I
Right.
think that we can slow it down. And I have seen reversal, not like huge, like you're not going to look
Mhm.
like you're 20 again kind of thing. But I have
Right.
seen quite a bit of reversal with certain ingredients. And it's always like, is that ingredient working for you? You can say, oh, hyaluronic's great. It might work for
Right.
one person. It might not do too much for another person. Everybody's body
Right.
responds differently.
Right. To everything, right? It's
Yeah,
such a good
exactly.
point. To everything, to foods, to medicines, to food, right?
Mhm.
I know we were talking about, I don't know if we did it on camera or off camera, but we're talking about how you really have been focused now on mentoring young estheticians, or any age, I guess, people who are just starting out, and you're going to the schools. What do you think the most important, thing you teach them is about this industry?
Possibility.
Nice.
That anything is possible,
Right.
and to to get rid of fear. Because through my mentoring throughout the years, people, they don't go anywhere because the fear. Oh, Shelley, I can't start this because of this. I can't do that because of that. And then they end up going nowhere. Like,
Right.
get rid of that jump. If you fall, and you get back up and you try something else again.
Right. Well, should they, from that, I've always wondered, like, when you first get your license, do you look still to join an office or a spa or something, right? You shouldn't, I don't know, or do people start out of their homes type of thing?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And one thing that I always talk about in my class is try to figure out as quickly as you possibly can whether you are a solo entrepreneur, you want to be the boss and owner of a large spa,
Hmm.
you want to go into a medical, just kind of figure out where that is. Because I spent a few years in the beginning working in a few medical offices, and I realized fairly quickly I am a solo entrepreneur. That's where I thrive. successfully and emotionally best doing that. So if you are a solo entrepreneur and you go out and you spend 5 to 10 years working in a spa, wow, what could you have done if you had been growing your own thing? Or if you just really know you want to be a really great employee in a spa, then go do that and be the best you can be for that, rather than wasting time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
It does make sense. But
Yeah.
it's hard, as you said, I think there's a great level of fear there. And it's hard for people to say, I'm going to start a business, right? Because you know, there's people around you like, what do you know about doing that? So then you
Yeah.
have to start shutting all those voices off and just lock in, right?
Yeah. Don't listen.
Yeah.
Block it out.
Yeah.
Just go for it.
What's the hardest thing that you discovered when, starting out, the hardest thing about starting a business, because you really built up something?
Boy,
That's a hard question.
it,
Yeah.
it really
Yeah.
is. And I feel very blessed that it all just kept flowing for me. And for some reason, I didn't have a lot of naysayers around me, which was really nice. So they weren't in my ear telling me not to do it. And like I said, I had that naivety that I forgot to be afraid.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah, but that's even better that you didn't have those negative voices around you, right? I think that community is a big thing. It's a big thing.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting because we all have the internet right now, and the internet's not all positive, right?
No.
There's a lot of negativity there. Well, the good thing back then with not having the internet was we didn't have that I never heard any negative things.
Right. Yeah. I know. I think back to those days, and I was a reporter starting in the 90s in New York, and I was like, wow. I mean, we had pagers. If we were lucky, right? We didn't have this phone where you just kind of got lost on the phone. We actually turned around, talked to people, and what a different world it was. What a different world than it is now.
And I think one of the things I see a lot happening too, because of having cell phones, is when people want to start their own business, they think they don't have to be present there. Like I told you, I was present every single morning. They don't have to be present because I have my cell phone. People will find me. Oh, I can go lunch with my friend, or I can go shopping because people will find me. Well, then your energy's not there. You're not focused on that growth of that business.
Right.
I think that makes a big difference personally.
Yeah. So you would suggest to someone to get, like, let's say starting out. Okay, I'm going to give you a little scenario. I just got my license. I'm going to say now those places, like I think as you mentioned, where there's multiple rooms, and you can rent out a room or whatever, and it's like a little mall, almost a mini mall, a mini whatever. So do I get my license? Do I take the bite and invest and buy and get into one of those rooms and start building a business like that? Like, how do you do?
Yeah, I mean, my personality type, I would, right?
Yeah.
But so you kind of have to dig a little bit deep, and like, who are you? There's been many girls that I've talked to over the years that are working for a spa, and once I talk to them, it's like I realize they can be an entrepreneur, and I encourage them to go out on their own. I think a mistake that they make is they go into this room, they rent this room, and they think they have to spend a ton of money to make it absolutely perfect, and they won't open it up until everything is just perfect. And really, in our business, it's about connection with the client, and they're not going to care if your menu's not just perfect yet. They're probably going to throw that menu away when they leave anyway, type of thing. Just open your doors and concentrate on that client in front of you.
That's hard. That's hard. For any woman, because you've built businesses, right? For any woman looking to start a business, your top advice is just do it, or what is it? What's your?
Yeah. I think owning your own business is fabulous.
Yeah.
Right? I encourage anybody to do it. There's an emotional freedom, and there's a freedom of time in it. But there is a little bit of, you have to get used to the fact of you don't get a set paycheck every month, right?
Yeah.
If you're working for a corporation, there's ups and there's downs, and you have to get used to that. You have to learn to regulate yourself emotionally about that ebb and flow of money.
Yeah. What do you attribute the secret to your successes?
That positivity, that excitement about what's next, what am I going to do, that kind of thing. Yeah. And I think that has to do with and I think you mentioned earlier, that's not always easy, is finding that thing that you just really truly have a passion about. I think it's hard to be successful if you got to go, oh, I got to get up and do that again today.
Right. Right. And how many people do that, right? So
Oh,
many people. Listen, I was doing it too. I was like, whoa, dreading every day to go to work. Like, here we go, another horrible negative story I have to report on, so
yeah.
so I understand that. And then you feel like someone called it once to me, the golden handcuffs, right? Because you're making good money at a job, but you're handcuffed to it and you don't want to be there anymore, but you don't see an out,
Mhm.
or where you can you give up that money and walk away to start something.
Yeah, we get a little
Yeah.
addicted to that money. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. All right, I think that's it for us. I love this. So, Shelley, thank you so much for sharing your story and giving advice and talking about Esther and Jerry. I love it. I love it.
Thank you, Jill. I really, really appreciate it. This was fun.
Oh yeah, I hope to see you maybe one day on one of those cruises.
There we go.
Yeah, definitely. All right, that's it for us. A big thank you to Shelley Hancock for coming on the show and sharing your incredible story. I'm Jill Conway, and thank you for listening to the show celebrating incredible women like Shelley. I hope that you're inspired to pursue your own goals, believe in yourself, and dream bigger. Your voice matters, and your story can help others. I hope you join us next time. Share this podcast with a friend, and follow us on Instagram. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Shelley.